I have for years felt like there's a tremendous gap in education in the industry. I think there's a lot of free content out there, but there's not anything or very few things that are structured. When I got into the first agency that I went into, I was handed all of my stuff that I needed, my computer and all of that. And then I was told to go out and produce accounts that were $250,000 to $500,000 in premium. My question was, how do I do that? I was just a grocery store manager 2 weeks ago. And their answer was, well, you're the sales guy. You figure it out. We can handle the insurance on the back end. You go out and hook them. We'll clean them and fry them. And it was brutal. It's scary. You know, I knew I had a salary that was guaranteed to me for a year, and I'm always 100% of the time going to bet on myself. So I knew I would succeed, but it wasn't easy. And I had to spend the time to build a process. I had to spend the time to do the research and build a pipeline. I didn't have, a big referral network. I had just moved back to Tampa after being gone for, 15 years, and all my friends had left. So I didn't have people to refer me business. It was scary. And so I had to develop a process. And once I did that, I said, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that nobody has to go through what I went through again. The Protege is not an egotistical thing for me to be on YouTube and try and get views. It's not about me being in the limelight and pushing my name out there. It's truly about education in a journey of an average producer that's learning their way in the middle market. If you haven't watched it, I would tell you completely unbiased that it is a playbook for what you need to do to build your book of business. And it's not an opinion. This man proved it. 3 months they had to produce. In a 3-month time period, Mr. Hayden produced almost $70,000 in agency revenue. Not premium, people. Premiums for show, revenues to go. That's what pays the bills. 70 grand. 3 months. And all he did was do the process. I laid out the challenge. These guys used their creativity and their ideas to build their own mousetrap. And then they went out and did it. And the 3 guys that you've heard everybody talking about, Derek, Justin, and Ryan, were the ones who produced the most. And that's why they're here today. So what I wanted to do is I wanted each one of them to be able to have the opportunity to talk a little bit about their journey through the show. And as soon as we're done with that, I'm stopping voting. And for the first time, I'm going to log into my phone and see who the winner is. Live. And that person gets a fully paid scholarship into the killing commercial community, which is a substantial check that they would have to write otherwise. So with that said, Mr. Ryan Keating asked if he could go first. Floor is yours, sir. Y'all give Ryan a hand, man.
David, thank you for putting this all together. And as David just said, it was about the process and going through the journey. And with that, kind of how it started, as many of you saw me yesterday, looking all disheveled and, in a mullet. There's about 70 of us that put in entry videos. So this kind of ties it all in.
Hey, Stacy. Hey, Patty. Hey, Juliet. Hey, this is Ryan. Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, this is Ryan Keating. The reason for my call is we go by date night. I know it's been a while. I sent you a few texts. It's not looking for a date or what I'm going to keep. I'm not going to join you. No. I sent you 20 texts. Stacy said you're single too. This is too aggressive. What do you mean? Why am I calling now? Because I'm looking for one.
Yeah, so, no, that's great. But so kind of started off having fun like that, and how sales happen in everything in life we do. And with that, who wants to say all this? I come from a family agency. There's many great things about that. I'm fortunate to have had a grandfather start an agency, and my dad, who I do make a little jab at him as a predominantly personalized agency. He's always yelling at me, you gotta offer UM coverage, you gotta offer UM coverage. I'm like, I don't wanna offer UM coverage. I wanna sell commercial insurance. And when I saw this come out for the opportunity, I sent that video in. And with that, we had 7 challenges. So coming from a employee benefits background for a little bit in Dallas, I had a similar sales upbringing, but David tasked us with the first challenge, COVID, big impact on all of our lives. And with that, it took a lot of research. This is definitely the biggest challenge we had, and it kind of set the tone for the whole rest of the challenges to make them a little more easy. But we did do SWOT analysis. I started diving into the commercial insurance space, seeing what was being affected, and then being in Connecticut, started driving down. This is still the big picture. One of the great things about the insurance industry that we are in, there's a lot of money in it, personalized, commercialized. But when you really start to drill down into niches like we did in this and finding those target clients that you want to work with, it starts to make it a little better. But with that, you got to kind of see where opportunity is going to be. And I found that I like to work with businesses that are growing, and you're not having as many conversations of transactional, cost cutting, how do we save money because my company's not being successful. So one of the most interesting ones here is the home health and personal care, especially with an aging population where things are going. This is one we drilled down to. Then being in Hartford County, Connecticut, I started drilling down even deeper into there, what businesses were more prominent. And from there, I came up with stay home, gotta eat, and pets. So these are kind of my 3 broad target markets that I felt COVID impacted I was gonna go after. And from there, I was like, what do I do? There's too much. You can't call on all those businesses, especially seeing that, which fortunately right into challenge number 2 of developing a pipeline. And from there, what was great is seeing there's about $15 million of premium in those targeted markets I went after, and then trying to rank it down from there. We got the challenge number 3, which if anyone did watch the shows, or if you go to episode 5, I tried to get a clip of that, but I think I forget what did David say. He's like, I feel like it's someone just doing their high school paper like right before it's due, and I will be honest, it kind of was like that because I had gotten whacked with COVID right around when this was going down, and I also struggled with the value proposition of what exactly taking these large markets of many different industries and how would you tailor that to it. And this was what I submitted to that week's challenge. We had about originally a week, then it got stretched to 2 weeks, and this was supposed to have been going on probably back in April, was when the first spring show was scheduled. So they kind of extended through the summer. But I pretty much just thought of more like marketing slogans and actual value propositions. And from there, we got into branding. Ricky's passing out what we turned this into of Connecticut Risk. And with Connecticut Risk, filing and creating different programs. So I filed for an LLC, Connecticut Risk LLC, and with that, kind of using that as a DBA producer contract in my agency, so that Connecticut LLC is paid commissions and operates relatively its own entity. Other things in there, I've not exactly launched ConnecticutRisk.com, bottomlineprotector.com. Ryan Handy and Ricky Hayden are my coaches. Ryan and I had a nice long talk one night, and next thing I know, I woke up with like 30 new domain names I bought. If anyone's looking to buy some insurance-based domain names, I got some good ones. And with that, so we kind of got a branding into the program offerings, bottom line protection, audit assurance. Audits, I think, especially with COVID, are a very wedge-driving opportunity, similar to talking before on the cyber. And then we get into best-in-class, tying into pets, and full plate, tying into food a little bit, just similar words to what the industries do. The challenge after that, cold call script, elevator pitch. I started getting more defined into focusing just on the best-in-class program because it is time-consuming. We're day-to-day doing our stuff, we were grinding this out, doing the challenges while doing our normal business activities, and this one was a little still broad, audit, best in class, bottom line protection. But as we went through the rest of it, the scripts, and what was nice too is they all kind of worked to each other. So as we built, for me, I felt as I built out my pieces, they all tied into what goes next. So it's what, like David had mentioned before, working the process. That first part, really, you put the work in up front, and then the rest follow. So same with talking on the phone. I kind of a little different of going for a yes. Does your company like to win? Do you like to win? I don't think people are going to say no to that. So now you're starting with a yes there. And with that, the marketing flyer, I had one of my friends, the one actually who designed this little bottom line protection thing. He was going to be building up my marketing flyers, my marketing slicks. So we had a little bit of an issue there that I never got those fully developed like I thought, and not being at where I was of launching the whole Connecticut Earth brand and entity. Kind of ended up with this, and David was like, you can't even see the website, it's on the bottom right. That was a little more like subtle part of it, but the bigger picture is looking at how all those things incorporate into what goes into the bottom line of the business, focusing on them outside of just selling insurance or, hey, you paid XYZ last year, let us quote you, because who likes to be an unpaid consultant? Being a UPC is not what does it. So then with that, the final challenge, number 7 of the main challenges where people were eliminated every week was a drip email campaign marketing video. Email, I did not have a good call to action because one, I did not have the website to drive them to, or things like that, but I thought, some nice catchy titles, worked on a couple different copy bases, and then short text base that would get traction as you build out just kind of almost like a text message based into your email. So, and the video I got put together a doodle. So like tying into competing in the show, winning is what we're about, and we want to work with winning businesses. So I do hope you guys vote for me. And if you don't, vote for Derek, because he's not from Connecticut like Justin is. So we're more competitors than Derek and I, but also too, what was great, it's just I don't want to leave it on him. I got to meet a lot of people through this, just digitally, and creating a community like we have here of what BrainShare is and that, and insurance as a whole. I think this is a great stepping point to that opportunity. So I'm grateful to be a part of it. Happy to be here in the front three and look forward to beating you. So.
The good news is you know what all 10 challenges were, so the other guys don't have to share them, right? Brian did a good job of getting you through. How many people would love to have a producer on your staff that was that thorough in planning their business? I mean, the work that these guys did was absolutely incredible. And like Jason said today, this is not about me. This is about giving people a platform and the ability to be showcased and to challenge them to push themselves to a level they may not have pushed themselves to on their own. I'm really proud of the work that all 3 of them did. I'll let the 2 of you figure out who wants to be next. Sloan's saying Derek is. I do. Thank you.
Is voting still open?
It is.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'll go ahead and kick it off then. My name is Derek Hayden. I'll just summarize. What I'd like to do first is say some thanks to Carruthers for putting this on, coaches Cass and Lipstone. So you guys have done more for me than I could ever repay you with, and I appreciate everything y'all did. And being here in this room with all the names that I've listened to and read about and watched videos on, it's kind of surreal. So appreciate the opportunity, and thanks for making me feel right at home here in Texas. So by the way, the QR code is the where you can vote. So why don't you go ahead and scan this QR code and vote for Derek while you're there. So I just want to summarize I won't go into all the details of every challenge we went through. Just want to summarize my experience and kind of my background, and be happy to take questions at the end. So I am a producer right now at Danzig Insurance Risk Advisors and Shelbyville Insurance. I'm from a very small town in central Illinois. It's called Shelbyville, Illinois. So to give you an idea, it's about 5,000 people, just under 5,000 people. So it's a pretty, country area, and that does present some challenges, but also some opportunities for me. So I'll kind of dig into that here in a second. But been in the industry for about 8.5 years. My main focus at this point in time is middle market commercial and employee benefits. So my middle market is not David Carruthers' middle market. I'm not in that type of an area where I can really go after a ton of $500,000 accounts. So I size it down just a little bit, but it's turned out to work for me. So a lot of people ask, you've been in the industry for almost 9 years now. Why did you decide to join the Protege? Why did you want to throw your hat in the ring? So a few reasons why I wanted to do it. I'm always looking to differentiate myself in the marketplace, and to be able to say that I was a competitor on a reality show in and of itself. There's not many people, especially in my marketplace in Shelbyville, Illinois, that are going to be able to say that they were a competitor in a reality show. So it's been a cool experience. It was perfect timing for me. Protege kind of popped up. I was in the middle of transitioning my personal sales process when the announcement for the show came in. So it was it was almost a sign for me. I was like, this is something I got to do. I've got to jump on board and see what I can do and see if I can learn something. So I am lucky. I've got a pretty good agency that gives me some resources. The one thing that I was wanting to learn was how to use those resources to actually provide solutions to my clients. For me, it was always one of those things where I go in to quote, and I was like, oh, by the way, if you really like this quote, you can get our client portal. And it wasn't solving a problem for my customer. It was just kind of a tag-along thing that, kind of a perk for doing business with us. So I wanted to change my thought process and sales process to be focused on using those resources to provide a proactive solution for my clients and prospects. So so there was a comment recently on a podcast, one of my favorite podcasters. I know there's a lot of podcasts in the room. There's ears probably just perked up, but the individual's not in the room. It's Mr. Scott Howell. So I wanted to figure out how to get the hay down where the goats could get to it. So get those resources down to where the clients can actually use them and provide some value to them. So, if y'all listen to the Power Producers podcast, I want to take my game to the next level. So that's why I thought it was for me. So my experience during the show, Keating did a really good job. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't even have a presentation at the beginning of today, but I found out that Keating made one during the break earlier. So I ran up to my room and put this together. So thanks, Keating. So during the show, my experience, what it did for me was gave me some accountability to define a process. Obviously, I had to turn in my work to continue on the show. So it gave me a little accountability, helped me put the puzzle together of how do I take those resources I have and provide value to my clients. Also helped me define a target market. I wasn't the most focused guy. I still probably could get a little better, but it helped me define what I did well and take that to the marketplace to actually win business and provide value to my customers. So also identified my value proposition, and I was in the same boat as Keating during the value proposition segment. I got run through the mud a little bit by Carruthers, so thanks for kicking me in the butt. But if you watch the show, you saw him actually say, hey, Derek didn't do very well. in the actual process of making the show, we had meetings every now and then where we'd meet with Carruthers and he'd say, you know, you're on track, you're not on track. And he got me pretty good during that meeting and kind of stuck it to me and said, hey, dude, you might not be around if you don't figure it out. So I kind of needed that, and it helped me make it the top 3. So, and it's